What's up, guys? This is episode 30 of Hoops Talk with Dave's Joint. Shout outs to everybody that's shown love thus far. For those that haven't seen it, the episodes, check it out on YouTube, Facebook, and IGTV. But without further ado, I have a special guest here today. He's a graduate of Trinity Catholic in Stamford, Connecticut, played with the Gauchos in high school, went on to play at Appalachian State and Chipola College, started out at Quinnipiac though, and is now a grad assistant at Mississippi State University. I give you Tevin Baskin. Tevin, thank you for coming on my platform to talk to me and share your story.
What's up, man? I'm having internet problems. I'm back though. What's going on?
Not much, man. Thank you for coming on to tell your story.
I'm happy to be here, man. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Indeed.
Happy to be here, man. It's always good. Thought it was good to hear from you, man. So,
Absolutely.
You popped up in my DM. You've been my man for a long time.
Word, exactly. So let's get to it. My first question for you is, now that you're a coach, what's Tevin Baskin's coaching philosophy?
I mean, get stops, man. I mean, to be honest with you, just being from Connecticut, man, I adopted that New York mentality. Obviously, being down over the Chos for so long, it's cool to score, but if you're giving it up on the other end, we got an issue on our hands. So, just get stops, man. Be tough-minded defensively, communicate at all times, and more importantly, man, just do it with passion. You can't achieve anything out here without being passionate about it. So, that's always my thing, man. I can live with guys taking, crazy shots on the other end. It happens, especially when you're dealing with talented players. But, as long as you're willing to get stops and work hard on the other end, I'm good.
Indeed. So, talk about, when did basketball begin for you?
Basketball began in about 95 for me, man. 95. I started off Stamford, Connecticut. The Stamford Police Department put together, a league that's called Mighty Mites. And that's where my love started at, man. Every Saturday, Sunday, they put a bunch of teams together from the kids from within the community. We got together at the local community center, down the street, and just played, man. To us, it was like, it was like the NCAA tournament every weekend. We had fun, we enjoyed it. But that's what, the game and our love for it was kind of instilled in us.
So talk about growing up in Stamford, Connecticut.
Stanford's great, man. I mean, for me, to be honest, it's so crazy because when I first got down there with Gauchos and people would ask, like, yo, where you from? I'm like, Connecticut. They swore Connecticut was like on the other side of the world. Like, man, you got cows in your backyard? I'm like, nah, I'm about, 35-minute, 40-minute drive the most, from the gym. So growing up in Connecticut, it was good, man. Very diverse. I've been open, man. I put it on my Instagram, and I grew up in the projects. You know what I'm saying? Grew up right off exit 6. It was no different than, whether it was Brooklyn, Harlem, or the Bronx. We all come from those type of backgrounds. But, for the most part, man, it was good. I enjoyed it. I was one of those kids that was outside playing all type of sports, tackle football on the concrete, swung a baseball bat, but ultimately I always found myself, with a basketball in my hand. So it was good though, man. It was good. I'm actually back home in Connecticut right now. I just got back.
I can see the jersey.
Yeah, man. I mean, I still got my room, back in Stamford at my parents' crib. So, I'm back, man. I feel good to be back in the tri-state. It's always good to get back. I haven't been back here since December. So, and for December, it was August. So, I don't get a lot of time in Connecticut, man, especially with this coaching thing. But it was good. It was a good overall experience, man. I take a lot of what I learned here and kind of applied it to everywhere I've been, pretty much.
Yeah, man. And getting back to your point earlier, just when you just said that people think that you grew up with horses and animals and all that. What they don't really notice is that there are hood spots in Connecticut. There are There's rough cities in Connecticut, like
Yeah.
Bridgeport, New Haven.
Yeah.
Stamford looks like a nice city,
Yeah.
but if you go much further, like Hartford, New Haven, Bridgeport, it's even worse.
Yeah, man. I think that's you just said it. It looks nice. I'll never forget. We were on our way to the Providence Jam Fest up the way, and everybody stopped by my house on the way up. They had to pick me up. Obviously, we're all driving up there together. So yeah, everybody from Gauchos kind of pulled up outside, and they looked around. They see these townhouses. They're like, "Oh my, like yo, you got a
Yeah.
house?" I'm like, "It's a townhouse," not knowing, 2.5, 3 years before I joined Gauchos, this was all brick. They knocked it down. They actually used dynamite to blow up the high rises. You know what I'm saying? Like
Wow.
it was just that bad, man. It was that bad to the point where you're dealing with everything, man. You're dealing with killing, dealing with drugs, dealing with crime. So what they did was, they just knocked it all down and they started to build phase by phase. Where I live now just happened to be, one of the first phases. So, it looks nice, man, but it wasn't always this presentable, and obviously you can present something, but it's life, man. Crime is gonna happen. The same things kind of, they're still going on.
I hear that. But so talk about when you were younger, like what was the like now that you older, what's the basketball culture like in Connecticut for those that don't know?
The basketball culture, when I was growing up, the basketball culture, we had our one or two guys that that did big things, but on a day-to-day basis, again, man, like every hood, you got those guys who are ultra talented, but never really get a shot because of whatever may happen, whether it be grades, whether it just be opportunity. So for me, growing up, obviously the high school I ended up at was the high school. I know, just talking to you the other day, you told me you had Raj on here. Raj is the man. So when you said Raj, automatically I kind of lit up because, he's that guy that kind of paved the way. Raj, the Craig Allstreets, the Torrey Thomas, the Dave McClures, like those guys were the guys that I kind of looked up to coming up.
So if there was one tournament that I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Not one tournament, but if there were like a few tournaments that you love playing in or out of Connecticut, like where would they be? Like tri-state area tournaments.
Tri-state area, gotta start with Rumble in the Bronx. Gotta start with Rumble in the Bronx, man. To be honest with you, a part of the reason why I left Connecticut was because I wanted to be on that. I wanted to be on that stage with the best, and so for me, all of my tournaments are gonna be, in the tri-state. Whether it be IS8, I love playing at IS8. I love Rumble in the Bronx. Dykeman was good to me. For the time that we were there. So all of my most competitive things happened. Whether it be in Jersey, players spring fling. So we just talking the tri-state, West Fork. We talking the tri-state area, man. I just, for me, I was willing to go anywhere just to play with and against whoever, was the best out there.
Awesome. So when did you first join the Gauchos?
Man, it's crazy. I could tell you right here because it's a trophy. My first Gaucho tournament was 2001 Round Ball Classic. That was my first one, man.
So when you were 10 years old, basically.
10, 11, yeah, Round Ball Classic. A dude by the name of Mark Fields from Connecticut, who's a Connecticut guy, had a great relationship with Dwayne Mitchell, who actually ended up coaching me my whole Gaucho career. And he had a habit of bringing guys down just to kind of test them out. And I was actually playing football at the time, and he called my mom one day. He was the basketball guy in Connecticut. Like, I don't have any success in my career without Mark Fields. It just don't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Fields is a guy who, had a passion for basketball. I played with his son, Mark Fields Jr., who was my point guard at Trinity Catholic. And Mark was the guy that brought me down. Mark brought me fresh off the football field to Round Ball Classic.
Wow.
He pulled up. I'll never forget. He had a white truck. He pulled up. It's a park called Scalzi Park out here. I was at Cluna Middle School at that time, and Mark pulled up and was like, hey, I talked to your mom. We're going to New York. I'm like, New York? I just finished practice. He's like, man, get in the car. So I got in the car. Talked to my mom. She was like, yeah, Mark said he want to take you down to New York. I pulled up. I changed my clothes in this truck. I had some shorts. And when I got there, I had some basketball sneakers, but I had been playing outside in them for so long. I remember I borrowed somebody's sneakers. Walked in the gym. That's when I first met some of my future AU teammates. I remember Orlando Rodriguez was there, Amari was there, Kev was there, Chris Fouch was there. And it was just, what a round ball classic is. We walked in and, it was electrifying. It was new to me. I walked in this gym. There's people in there. They got a dude on the mic. I'm a little nervous. And then on the team, they got Jordan Theodore not knowing his team was playing up. Man. So, for me, it was just it was a life-changing experience, man. But without Mark Fields, none of this happens.
That's a good story. So, like, talk about, some of the places. Like, were you a part of those teams when they won Peach Jam?
Yeah, I was on them Peach Jam teams, man. I listened for, it's funny because I talked to Ron Hawkins, who was our assistant coach. I talked to Ron Hawkins for about an hour, 45 minutes of the day when I was down south, just calling him, always check in with him. And we was just reminiscing, man. I don't, the pro styles and the Rumble in the Bronx and, the ISA. I never won ISA, but, from 2000 to 2007, 8, whenever it was, like, I was a part of every championship. I didn't play with no other AAU team. Strictly Gauchos, Dwayne Mitchell and Ron Hawkins. So, the Peach Jams, we had the BCI that was out in Texas. We never won Boo, but you're a Gaucho team, you ain't gonna never win Boo. That's my theory. But, I was a part of all that, man. I was a part of all that. I won a lot of championships down there.
So, what was playing for Dwayne Mitchell like?
Man, let me tell you something about Dwayne Mitchell. I struggled my first week down there. I struggled, man. When I tell you, I struggled my first week down there, man. Dwayne come from that rice culture, so the conditioning and the running and the skill package, and it was all new to me because here in Connecticut, part of the reason why I was really successful early on was because I was ultra athletic. But in New York City, everybody's athletic. Everybody's fast. Everybody can jump. Everybody, they have that ability. So for Dwayne demanded a lot. And if Dwayne, he ain't take no excuses. So
Right.
I struggled that first week. But, I came back week 2 with my mind right. And, from there, the rest of it was history.
I remember the days when, high school was rough for me. I didn't really have too many grades. So I remember them days when I used to have to haul ass out of Gauchos because Mitch used to chase me.
Man, that was him, man. Him.
That's how he was, man.
Listen, man. And I'm glad I'm talking to you because I get to tell this story. Dwayne Mitchell, for every day that I had practice in New York City, Dwayne Mitchell either drove to Connecticut to get me for practice and then drove me back after, or if he wasn't driving, he used to catch the train from 125th to Stamford train station. I used to meet him at the train after school, and then we'd catch the train back to 125th and then catch the 4, obviously, over the shows. But, like, Dwayne Mitchell literally, he called me Mr. I-95 because I spent so much time on a highway, man. I spent so much time on a highway going, from the Bronx to Connecticut, from Connecticut to the Bronx. And, like, he was that dude that always driving or, just come to get me or whatever it may have been. So, he was a dude that was dedicated. And he always cared about, how you was doing off the floor. Like you said, I used to run when I didn't do well on a test. And this wasn't even Gaucho related. He just set the foundation. He wasn't my high school coach. He wasn't my high school coach. So he'd be like, yo, like, what you doing with a 75 on your test? I'm like, man, that drum is hard. Like, oh, you want to see hard? I'm going to show you hard. like, but that was him. He just instilled that toughness in me, man. So I'm thankful. I'm forever thankful for Dwayne Mitchell, man. That's my guy. That's my guy.
Yeah, man. God bless everybody over at the Chos, man. There were some wonderful people.
Great dudes, man. Great dudes, really cared. He's a cornerstone. He's a cornerstone. A lot of Gauchos see a lot of, some guys that come and go, man. He's been there.
So let's talk about Trinity Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what made you choose to decide to go to Trinity?
Man, well, for one, I'm a hometown kid. It's in Stamford, Connecticut. So, for me, that was the school to be at. That was a powerhouse. They had sent a lot of guys Division I. And it was just something I wanted to be a part of. You saw what those guys were able to do when they went there. You saw the success they had. You saw the culture. And that was something I wanted to be a part of. But at the same time, and I had a tussle, going into high school because half of my teammates ended up at St. Ray's or Rice. So for me, it was like, yo, where you going to go to school? So I really had, Trinity Catholic was my number one option, but Rice was right behind them. When you're on the team with dudes like Chris Fouch, it's like, man, I want to play high school basketball with Chris Fouch. You know what I'm saying? So, it was a tough decision for me, but, I wanted to stay loyal to Connecticut, man. That's the one thing, I wanted to do. Because a lot of the time, being on Gauchos, man, people still think I'm from New York, and I gotta specifically say, nah, I'm from Connecticut. They're like, nah, ain't not.
They don't, because they saw too much of you out here.
And that's what it was. Like to this day, I talk to people, from back in the day. I run into coaches now on the road, or when I was on the road recruiting, it's like, oh yeah, I remember you. Like, you from New York? I'm like, nah, man, I'm from Connecticut. So I try to make that real clear to people when I finally do get a chance to talk to them. But it was a place to be, man. I'm happy I went there. You know what I'm saying? I was able to have some success there. I wish I could get a couple things back from there, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, because I think about it, you being from Stamford and having to come all the way to Harlem, that would have been impossible because that's just too much money being spent every day.
It's too much money being spent every day, and then depending on what time school started at Rice. Now, mind you, I could have did it because there's an express train that go from Stamford train station to 125th.
True.
Only like a 35-minute train ride. That's light. Yeah. But it was just the logistics, the other logistics of it, like late night, and that's what the struggle was for me. Basketball was no brainer. It was just the other stuff that went in.
And games would have been would have been impossible.
Yeah. I might as well have got an apartment in New York somewhere. So for me, it just the logistics of it is the reason why it didn't happen. To be honest with you.
You think your parents would have been comfortable with moving to New York, or?
I don't think my parents was ever gonna move to New York.
Yeah, because it's too expensive to live down here.
Well, Connecticut ain't cheap either. That's the thing. Connecticut ain't cheap. Everybody that lives in New York now is living in Connecticut. So, but it was just I got my grandmother here. Like, all my family's here. So for them, it was,
the uproot and move.
The commitment would have just been, if you're going to Connecticut, if you're going to New York, you go to New York, but you're going by yourself. I could have stayed with. I had like those teams were family. So I could easily stay with somebody from Monday to Friday and went home on the weekends, but it was just a lot, man. It was a lot. It was a comfort thing. So, I decided to stay home.
That's true. And like you said, Connecticut is expensive to live. I remember a couple years ago, I went to the National Prep Showcase in New Haven, and I'm waiting for the bus downtown, and this lady is telling me that they waited until November to pass like the state legislature. And there's always been problems with money up there for some reason.
Everything is expensive, man. It's
super expensive.
It's expensive, man. So, you got to learn how to. I mean, obviously, I grew up here, so it's nothing new to me. I've watched this place evolve. I don't know if you've been here lately, but listen, man, I'm going for 4 and 5 months at a time. Every time I come back to this place, it's something new. I'm like, yo, when this building go up? What happened over here? Why did he knock that down? Everything looks like, a New York City right now. So it's definitely a unique place, man. I'm happy to be from here, though.
Yeah, indeed. So talk about your 4 years at Trinity.
Man, my 4 years at Trinity, really good. really, really, really good. You know, I came in highly touted. You know, started as a freshman. You know, no JV, no freshman. You know, started off as a, you know, as a 17-year-old, 18-year-old. You know, starting on a varsity level at a powerhouse school with the tradition that I was at was a unique opportunity that I'm happy that I got. But, you know, up until that point, man, I feel like I had worked for it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like being down there with Gauchos had prepared me to be successful in the state of Connecticut, which is why, you know, I think I had all the success that I had up here.
Did you guys ever get to play at the Gamble Pavilion or the Civic Center?
Unfortunately, and why I say unfortunately was, man, we got to the state championship my junior year at Gamble, and we lost by 2, I believe. Lost the state championship at Gamble. Again, man, you're gonna hear me say it again. Great experience, but
Yeah, unfortunate.
I'm about to say, I don't know how other people feel, but I'm not just happy to be there, man. I'm one of them dudes who want to be there and complete the mission. I wasn't just happy to be in Gamble. I wanted to be in Gamble and win. So, you know, we lost against a good Crosby team that had, you know, 2 pros over there, Anthony Allen, BJ Montero. You know, they were really good. But, you know, I feel like for myself, I played a well enough game to get us over that hump. So, you know, what happens, man.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was beautiful playing over at Gamble. And plus, I was at Gamble last summer for the NCAA camp. That campus is huge. It's like its own little town.
Yeah.
The only problem is, like, you got to get out of there at a certain time. I'm just glad that they actually have transportation for that campus now.
Yeah, it's a real rural area. Like, once you get up the stores, it's just stores. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing else, just UConn. There's nothing else up there.
It's basically UConn, because I remember I'm on the bus. I think it was the 913 or something like that. I'm on the bus, and then the first, like, I see all these woods, and then the UConn logo came up.
That's it. And then
Like,
that's it.
That's crazy.
That's it, man.
Wait, was East Catholic the game y'all lost to? Oh wait, that was your sophomore year.
That's my sophomore year. See, that's it, and that's what I was going to touch on last, man. I think I lost 10 games in my high school career, and to me, they was the most important ones. I lost 3 FCI championships. I lost 2. I lost 3 in states, like my first 3 years. Then I got there and I lost that state championship game. And honestly, it was all within like 5 to 7 points. So that's a mentality I take with my players nowadays. Like, man, you know, you can't get these opportunities back. You know, once you blow a game or once you lose a game, you can't get it back. You can only just try to get better. So, yeah, man.
So, what's like the feeling of playing in the FCAC championship game or the playoffs?
Man, FCA playoffs, they were held at Fifth and Ward at that time. Sold out. Every game sold out. You know, so I think that gym, I don't know how much that gym holds, so I don't want to put a number on it, but it was sold out, man. And for me, every year I was here, we were the number 1 seed, so we were the late game, and, you know, we had our fans. And, I mean, for me as a player, that's the type of stage you want to be on. You know, as a high school kid in Connecticut, I wanted all eyes on me. You know, I wanted to be able to perform at a high level, and I wanted to win championships. So, you know, I was fortunate to have some real good teammates over the years at Trinity Catholic. You know, we just weren't able to get over the hump, man.
So, did UConn ever try to recruit you when you were in high school?
UConn did and dabbed a little bit. You know, they also had in my class, and you know, I actually went up to UConn. I went up to UConn for, it was like almost like an unofficial, but it was like 3 or 4 of us Gaucho kids, myself, Chris Fouch, Durand Scott, and Kimba. Kimba was up there with us too. And we went up for like a day camp, like a 3-day camp that they had on campus, and kind of just toured the campus and stuff like that. So, you know, they dipped and they dabbed, but they ultimately ended up going with Alex Oriaki and Jamal Coombs in my class, in the 09 class.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the two dudes that played at BABC. So, that was just a UConn story. I mean, but for me, UConn wasn't, it wasn't a dream school for me.
It was just a big school in the state.
It's like the only big school in the state, to be honest. It's the powerhouse in the state. I was fortunate enough growing up to see and watch them be successful. And that's why ultimately when Kemba got there, man, what he did was special. Craig Alshue, Trinity Catholic guy, ended up going in as well. But it was interesting to watch Kemba's run, man, because he was the guy. I actually roomed with Kemba. I don't think I ever told the story. I roomed with Kemba during that camp, and I'll never forget. We were in a room, and he was like, "Yo," he said, "I gotta come here." He said, "I gotta come here." I said, "You like it?" He's like, "Yo, I love it." He said, "I gotta come here." He said, "When I come here," he said, "I'm gonna get busy," and that was a long time ago. I'll never forget that. I don't know if you remember that story, but, he told that story, man. And, a couple of years later, I actually saw him the year. I was at Quinnipiac the year that they won the national championship. I went up to see him when they played Rutgers at the Excel Center. And he just ended up having a hell of a year, man.
That's crazy. Shouts to Kemba.
Special,
last night,
special, man.
Yeah, last night, you know how I, do like all this throwback stuff. So I'm on this site called WorthPoint, and his Rice High School yearbook from his senior year is worth close to $300.
Man, you know what's crazy about I mean, I almost got stuck with it, but you know what's crazy about something like that, man? For he is, I don't think he gets enough credit. And I'm going on record to say that about Kemba, man, because at the end of the day, people love the glitz and the glam. They're not rocking with the underdog that's putting in the time and the effort and the work. And to be honest with you, he's not even saying much. He's just producing. So, for me, I'm always, my players talk about, who's in your top, point guards and blah, blah. Call me biased, but I'm rocking with Kemba all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
A winner. He's a proven winner.
Yeah,
you can't deny that.
Nobody can deny Kemba. So, yeah, man, Trinity Catholic was a good time. Like, you went 102-12. Yeah. Which is crazy. Like
12.
You only lost 12 games in high school. Not many can say that they won over 100 games, which is amazing.
Yeah.
That's sad that, Trinity Catholic is closing. Like, how do you feel about that?
It's a reoccurring theme. It's unfortunate, but it's a reoccurring theme within the Catholic schools. And I know you and I spoke about it like a while ago, but it's a reoccurring theme within the Catholic school system because of how it just shows the importance of sports. You know what I'm saying? I said that to you. I was a class of '09, and after I left, obviously I love the school I went to. I wish things would have ended better, but for me, ultimately, I still cared about the place. You would hear about enrollment dropping, and if you're dropping 2 to 5 to 3 to 5% each year, ultimately you're bound to close down. So it's a sad situation. It's a lot of history there. Sort of like a Rice. You never in a million years, Trinity Catholic is like my Rice here. Just because it's what people grew up on. It's the school to go to as a basketball player. There are a lot of players I know that would have gave their left arm to get into Trinity Catholic and even put on that uniform. But, it's unfortunate. You see it happening around the tri-state everywhere. Everywhere. Catholic schools are closing down. So it's unfortunate. I hope there's something that can be done future-wise to prevent this type of stuff. But, it's 2020, man. We'll see how it plays out.
At this point, charter schools are the wave now. So basically, speaking of Rice, the other day, like I was on 125th and Lenox, and I walked by and I saw the building. I even took a picture of the old building. Like there's a scaffolding over there. and I saw graffiti on the walls of the building. When it was open, that never happened. They kept it clean as could be. But now there's a charter school that owns that building.
Mm-hmm. That on Rice?
Yeah, there's a charter school. But, just to see, graffiti defacing that wall was sad. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't go there, but I saw what that school stood for. So to see graffiti on the walls, that's like the disrespect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. I mean, I agree. And like you said, man, it just, my ultimate thing with schools like that is, it's more than just a school to some people. Like, to me, I didn't go to Rice, but Rice is more than just a school to me. You know what I'm saying? Because I was a kid across the state line. We scrimmaged Rice. I begged and begged and begged for my high school coach to scrimmage Rice. I tried to get us in the Nike Super Six. I wanted to do everything in Connecticut that they were doing in New York. I just wanted to. You know what I'm saying? But that just goes back to my mantra. I want to play against the best. We lose, but, they got to lace them up just like we do. So, to hear that somebody is defacing, that school that means so much to a lot of people is, that's hard.
Yeah. So what were some of the schools in Connecticut that you played that were like great competition?
I mean, I want to say none, but I lost 12 games, so I gotta give them some credit. But you had Hardin, with Coach Bentley over there. Hardin, powerhouse. Hardin is a powerhouse, having a powerhouse in the state for years. You got Hardin, Bassick. Bassick was really good. I lost to Bassick my sophomore year in the championship. Lost to Hardin my freshman year. Then beat Hardin in the conference championship my junior year. And then, I lost to Stamford High my senior year in the conference championship in double overtime. So, those couple schools right there, the schools that always gave us problems. They had another Catholic school up in Trumbull, Connecticut, St. Joe's, which was really good. They produced a couple players here and there. So, but for the most part, man, we just I didn't lose a lot of games. I didn't lose a lot of games in conference. Out of those 12, I don't know how many, I can count Stanford High. We lost to Ridgefield, Bassick in the championship, Hardin twice maybe, once at home during the regular season championship. I can count them in my head. I didn't do a lot of losing, man. So, but it was the number one conference in the state. Night in and night out, it was really talented. And, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed my experience here.
So what was your recruiting like?
Man, my recruiting was all over the place, man. I had high major, I had low major, I had mid major, ACC, Big East, A10, MAAC, NEC. It was all over the place, man. It was all over the place, and I think it just, it came down to a point where it was about what was best. And not going into too much detail, I ran into a situation with my high school. They just, I love Trinity Catholic, but they dropped the ball on a situation. And obviously they're closed, and I'm not going to throw the dirt on them after, the closure. But they dropped the ball in a situation that cost me, a couple of scholarships that I never really spoke about publicly. I just took the hits. I took the hits for it and kind of just went from there. But, ultimately, man, I ended up at Quinnipiac. And again, I don't regret it at all. I don't regret it at all.
So what made you decide to go to Quinnipiac, other than the fact that it was close to home?
It was close to home. Originally I was set to go to UMass. And people don't know that. I was set to go to UMass, but Travis Ford took the Oklahoma State job. I don't know if people remember that, but I was set to go there, man. And from there, between the situation, that happened with my transcript in high school and everything else, obviously it's a business, so people have spots to fill. They got to keep recruiting. So ultimately it came down to Quinnipiac. And I enjoyed my experience at Quinnipiac. I tell you one thing, Eric Eaton made my made my time at Quinnipiac pleasant, just because of his authenticity and his ability to motivate and keep it real with you. And as a player, that's all you ever want. You want a coach to motivate you, to keep it real with you, and to teach you life, through the game of basketball. So my experience at Quinnipiac, was good. My redshirt year, they had, James Feldine was on that team, Justin Ruddy was on that team, James Johnson, that played at Laughlin, was on that team. Got to the conference championship against Robert Morris and lost by 1, to get to the NCAA tournament. Ultimately ended up going to the
yeah, you guys were in the NEC at that time.
Yeah, in the NEC. Ultimately ended up going to lose in the NIT to Virginia Tech. So it was a good experience, man. I mean, for me, along this journey, man, I've kind of, I was a 4-2-4, so I went there. I went to Chipola, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and then I ended up at App. I don't regret it at all, man. I literally couldn't have asked for a better route because of what I got out of it.
You played against my alma mater, St. Francis, Brooklyn.
I did, man. They had my man Drake Calloway. It's funny, I just talked to Drake last month. They had Drake Calloway on that team, man. Great. I mean, they were talented. They were real talented. We came down to Brooklyn and played.
So let's go back to one last part of high school. So you played in the Jordan Brand regional game at the Garden, right?
I did, man. I did. It's so crazy. I got that poster hanging up on my wall right now, man. The big kid from Connecticut, man, at the, Madison Square Garden, no matter what anyone says, it's the Mecca. It always will be the Mecca. And I played at Madison Square Garden, I think once or twice before that. I think it might have been a Rucker, a EBC All-Star game I got chosen for. That was at the Garden, and I ended up playing there. But to be selected for that game showed that all my hard work had paid off over the years, man. I would have loved to have played in the national game. I would have loved to. But, that game's not easy to get into. Once again, you have to have done something over the course of, your 4 years in high school to be selected for it. So, for me, it was a good time, man. It was a good time. I mean, listen, man, when you get a chance to play on a stage like that against some of the best, a lot of my AU teammates were on some of them teams. Russ was in the game, James Stewart was in the game, Amari was in the game. I'm missing somebody. I don't want to miss somebody. I don't want to get mad. Chaz Williams was in the game. Sean Johnson was in the game. For me, it was nice to be on that court with all these dudes, knowing that we had gone to war against each other and with each other for so long. I think that was a great reward for us, man. It was well deserved for the ones that got into that game, and for us, the icing on the cake. You get a chance to meet the greatest player of all time after the game. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Like, how was it meeting Jordan?
Man, meeting Michael Jordan was a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I pray I get a chance to meet him again, because I know some Marcus fairly well. But, you play the game, you obviously get all the gear, all that good stuff. They take us in the back, they lock us in the locker room, we do our media session, and then they lead us out into this room, man. And, you walk through that room, you lift that curtain back. I was the first one I'll never forget, pull the curtain back, and there he is, just standing there. And to this day, it was like a hologram. Like he was just like, dude was just there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like people talk about, Black Jesus and blah, blah. I try not to incorporate religion into things, but he definitely looked like he was levitating a little bit, man. He looked like he was levitating. He was good to talk to, though. I got a chance to talk my competitive side. I told him I was going to beat him one-on-one right before we took the picture.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at me and just said, "Child, please, just smile." Listen, man, that's my Michael Jordan story. I'm happy to have one, but it was a great experience. Wow. It was a great experience, man. Russ Smith almost fainted. Man, Russ, my man, but Russ almost fainted, man. It was a good experience. So
that's crazy. That's a great story, man.
Yeah, man.
But let's get back to the college part. So, what led you to leave Quinnipiac?
Ultimately, it just came down to happiness.
Mm.
The happiness of, when I got back, I played. I got banged up. I played, but I honestly I broke my finger. To this day, I broke my finger at Quinnipiac, and because I had sat that year before, I I didn't want a redshirt. I didn't want a redshirt. For me, I that wasn't my thing. I didn't want to take a medical redshirt. I had to do one that I didn't want to do already, so I just kind of taped it up and played through it. But ultimately, it just came down to happiness. Man, I wasn't as happy as I thought I was going to be for a number of different reasons, and the springtime rolled around, and I just kind of just decided that it was best for me to try and go and better myself elsewhere. For me, I say it to this day, and I know I mentioned him already, but leaving Quinnipiac, the hardest part of leaving Quinnipiac for me was Eric Eaton, because he was there throughout the whole process of me, the eligibility and fighting the case and, just doing all that with me. For me, it was definitely, that was the hardest part about it. But ultimately, again, just like with the Trinity Catholic thing, everything happens for a reason. So, that was my ultimate thing, man.
I hear that, man. That's tough when you have to leave somebody that, that really got love for you. But, in this college basketball thing,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, certain things have to be done. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the one thing I will tell you right now on June 10th is everything always comes full circle. Always. Everything always comes full circle. So Eric Eaton is a great guy.
Indeed. Shouts to Eric Eaton, man. So you wound up going to Chipola College in Connecticut. Sorry, Florida.
Yeah, man. I ended up down there in Marianna, Florida.
Talk about that JUCO experience. I know it was something that you never thought that you would do, but wound up doing. Like, talk about going from a Division I school in your home state to a JUCO in the sandy beaches of Florida.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the funny thing, because there was no sandy beach part of where I was down there. That's the crazy part. For me, man, going from a Division I where, you had meals prepared for you, after games, on and off the bus, whatever it may be. Going to a JUCO, I wouldn't even call it a humbling experience. I just think it hardened me a little bit, because, at a JUCO, you're not getting the same glitz and glam as you get at a Division I. It's all about keeping your head down and working. And for me to be away from home, that was my first time really living away from the tri-state. So I ended up in the middle of nowhere, Florida, between Tallahassee and Panama City. So, I was down there for about 6 months. But the reason why I went there was because, again, the competition in that Panhandle Conference was like no other. It was like no other. You had high major players all over the place. And again, I could have easily gone somewhere local like a Monroe or Harcum, or, but for me, I'm never running from competition. So I went to the best conference in the country down there, and I hooped and I played, and we were pretty successful. I don't remember what our record was down there, but we came in top 10 in the country. Night in and night out, it was a battle. So it was a grind. JUCO life is a different grind for any basketball player that ever goes through it. I think if you can make it through JUCO basketball and come out with an understanding of how hard it takes to work and everything like that, then you've used your year or two in JUCO the proper way.
Amazing. So what led you to App State?
What led me to App State? Man, you ever been out there?
No.
Beautiful. When I tell you it's beautiful, man, there is nothing like Appalachian State's campus. For me, it was the opposite of what I'm used to. I'm used to the loud cars, the high rises, the fast-paced life. That is the complete opposite down there. It's North Carolina. It's Boone, North Carolina to be exact. It's 2 hours from Charlotte. And for me, it was different. It was a situation where I needed to get away from things. I need to get away from things. For me, it was another chance at a Division I school where I can go and be productive, and make new memories with new people. So, App State was great. Again, I wish we would have won more. But, ultimately, again, I talk about guys that recruit me. Kellen Sampson, that's over at Houston right now with his dad. Kellen Sampson recruited me out of Chipola College. And, now he's like, I just talked to him yesterday. He's like a mentor to me. And, he put things in perspective. He put a lot of things in perspective for me as a young man and as a basketball player. I enjoyed my time at App.
So after App State, what led you into going the coaching route?
Well, after App, like I told you, I played in Mexico for a couple months.
Yeah. Let's talk about Mexico.
Yeah, man, I was in Mexico for a couple months, man. Believe it or not, obviously the Mexico season starts later than everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Mexico, played in Mexico. I actually got a really nice contract. It was one of those things where, I had done enough. I had done enough to earn myself some money playing a game that I love. So I got a pretty decent contract over there. And, they don't start until January. And believe it or not, man, they flew me out on my birthday. I left Connecticut in a snowstorm on my birthday to go down to Mexico to start my professional career. My time in Mexico, it was good. I wish it would have went better. But at the same time, it's a different culture. So I don't really know. I say I wish it would have went better from my standpoint, but, who's to say that what I experienced down there isn't what the culture is. I'm still friends with a couple of my teammates that I played with down there who still live in Mexico. They'll WhatsApp me or Instagram me. It was a good experience, high-level basketball. But, I was only down there for a couple months and then came back because that was just the duration of the season. The team had issues. And for anybody that's been overseas or deal with teams that have, when your money isn't right, you become to perform. And that was a different approach I had to learn from being, a college athlete to having money. So, if my money's not on time, you kind of gotta, you gotta have your agent talk through things. You gotta learn how to deal with adversity when you're not off the block or, a couple hours away from home. So again, it taught me a lot.
Wow. I mean, it seems like a lot of my guests as of late, those that did play overseas, that's always a reoccurring theme, the money.
Yeah, man. Listen, again, I'm not going to go into details, but my contract was pretty decent, and it was one of those things where you do so much as an amateur, you're looking forward to the opportunity of becoming a pro, and then when you do turn pro, you put the time and the effort and the work to get out there and play and be productive, and when you're producing and you're looking for your compensation and it doesn't happen, that's when you take an issue at hand. So I don't know who else you've been talking to up here, but when the money is late, it's a red flag. And as an individual, like I tell these young kids today, you can say you're going overseas. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But at the end of the day, people talk about going overseas, like talk about going to the rec center. Like, oh, if I don't make it to the NBA, I'm going to go overseas. And you just kind of look at them, and for me, I like to be a truthful person. I just say to them, you do realize what you're saying. Like, you're making it sound like it's just that easy. Like, it's not that easy. There's a dime a dozen out there who do exactly what you do, if not better. So, again, the overseas experience taught me how to be a pro, and it taught me how to think like a pro. So, I'm grateful for it.
So now let's talk about the coaching.
Mm-hmm.
All right, where did you first start at? Was it Northwest Florida?
No. See, this is the thing. Right after I got back from Mexico, I said it to you before we got on the air. Mm-hmm. Like I turned that contract down in Poland. Like I had another contract offer. I just turned it down because of my first experience I had. It didn't scar me, but I just wasn't willing to deal with the extra. So I actually started working with kids at my old elementary school in Stamford. I was substitute teaching. And throughout that process, obviously, I've always had a love for kids, just being able to mentor and help them, help guide them. I mean, we know what it's like to grow up, in the projects or somewhere and not have, a male voice or the guidance. So, I ended up substitute teaching for 6 months permanently over there at the elementary school I attended. But at the same time, I ended up getting a girls' high school job in Greenwich, Connecticut. And,
Oh.
and that was my first high school job. And I was happy that it was my first high school job because it taught me patience and it taught me communication on
Mm-hmm.
on how to coach. Then that summer I did some AAU stuff as well on the girls' side. And ultimately, late summer, my phone rung, and it was someone I knew that had ties to Northwest Florida, who I was obviously familiar with from being in the Panhandle and being at Chipola, because Steve Forbes was the head coach at Northwest Florida when I was at Chipola. And for me, it was just a no-brainer, man. It was my first college coaching job, but my first job as a coach was a high school.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So after the girls coaching job at what school was this?
The Convent of Sacred Heart in Greenwich.
All right.
Convent of Sacred Heart. Shout out to Jess Spicer. She gave me my first coaching job. Jess played at Lafayette back in the day. She was a point guard at Lafayette back in the day. She gave me my first coaching job ever.
Indeed. So yeah, then you went to Northwest after?
Yeah, I was at Northwest. I worked for Steve DeMeo at Northwest Florida. And Steve DeMeo is now at St. John's as an assistant coach. So I work
Yeah,
for
man.
Steve.
I've been watching him. Shouts to Steve DeMeo.
Yeah, nah. Steve DeMeo is a great dude, man. I worked for Steve for a year. Learned a ton. He's a tri-state dude. He's a New York guy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was nice to be down there at Northwest Florida working for somebody who understood what it was like to be a New Yorker. And, obviously I'm not from New York, but he understood, what it was like to be a guy from the tri-state. So, he actually came. He drove down to Stanford. We met at a Starbucks. We talked. He offered the job, and I accepted it. And when we got down there, it was already a well-oiled machine. But I was able to add my little twist to it. We came in number one in the country, I believe, at that point. Made it to the Final Four under Division I JUCO. And then we sent like 11 or 12 guys Division I. So, another great experience for me, man. Another great one.
That's big time right there. So then after Northwest,
Mm-hmm.
you went on to Bridgewater.
I did, man. I worked for Sean Postiglione at Bridgewater, another New York guy. He worked for Mike Dean over at Wagner. He was at Division III. And again, Sean presented me with the opportunity to come in and have a bigger role than I did at Northwest Florida, where, I was in charge of my scouts. And, I got on the road, I recruited some. And he trusted me. That's the biggest thing. As a young coach, you want someone to trust you, who's going to allow you to work through your mistakes, but also guide you. Sean, again, another good dude, man. I've been in this business now going on 5 years. This will be my 5th season coming up, and I've been fortunate to work with some really good dudes. We had a really good season over at Bridgewater. I think we won the most games in a season since 2009 or something like that. So we won. We were winning over there, man.
And that's what's up. Shouts to Bridgewater.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're at Mississippi State, man. How does it feel to have a graduate assistantship at a major university?
Well, I just completed my time at Mississippi State.
Wow.
So I just graduated with my master's degree.
Congrats, man. What did you get your master's in?
Workforce education leadership.
Mm.
It just focuses on helping like youth development and helping the youth get acclimated to to jobs and things like that fresh out of high school. So for me, Mississippi State was it was everything I had done up until that point, I believe, that got me that opportunity, the connections that I built, the time that I spent in the gym with guys. And in this business, man, I mean, you got to be lucky. And you hear people say that. I used to hear coaches say that. But now in a minute, you got to be a little bit lucky. You got to know someone that knows someone, or, the timing of all this stuff has to be right. So, yeah, I've spent my last 2 years down at Mississippi State.
How is life in the Bayou?
Again, slower. I mean, it's Mississippi, man. And I tell people, listen, shout out to my people in Mississippi. But it's not a place I will make home forever. If I had a choice. It was unique. Great town, great college town. I mean, it's an SEC town. So, everything, women's basketball, football, baseball, everything is on a high scale. But it provided me with the experience I think I needed in order to be an assistant coach somewhere. I learned a lot. I learned a lot from my boss down there, man. He's been very, very successful.
Shout outs to Ben Howland, man. He's been doing some great things down there in the SEC.
Yeah, Coach Howland's a great dude, man. I learned a ton from him and that coaching staff down there.
Yeah, so they had guys like Elias King, who's no longer there, Iverson Molinar, Nick Weatherspoon, Reggie Perry. You guys had a pretty good program.
Yeah, man. Again, I came in at the same time. When Coach Howland decided to hire me, we talked for a couple of days, and he finally offered me the job, and I came in at the right time. And again, I think I was able to add something. I was the only guy down there really from up north, believe it or not. Like everybody else was homegrown, from the South. Whether it be Arkansas, Mississippi, Coach he's a West Coast guy, but I was able to add my own twist to the program. And, for me, my biggest thing was just, be seen, not heard, and then do my job at a high level. My first year we went to the NCAA tournament for the first time in 10 years again. So, I've been fortunate to continue to win and contribute over the course of my coaching career. That was their first time in the NCAA tournament since 2009, and it was electric.
It's a long time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, 10 years. It was, it was fun. And, this past year, we were really good, man. Won 20 games, and we had the momentum going into the SEC tournament. And unfortunately, we were out there in Nashville, sitting around like everybody else and watched the announcement pop up on the TV saying that the SEC tournament was canceled.
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking because, coaches said it, and I agree with them, and, everyone said it. The momentum was trending in our favor. Everything was heading in the right direction. We got the 4 seed, so we got the double bye. We were going to play the winner out of Florida, Georgia. And, luckily if we won that game, we had Kentucky next. We had just lost to Kentucky at Rupp by 8. So we were feeling good. We were feeling real good. It was, just an unfortunate situation. But, the health and the safety of the people always come first.
Absolutely. So this is one of my favorite questions to ask my guests. And this might be a question that you're really gonna love. So, if you could go back in the time machine to 2001, what would you go back and tell 10-year-old Tevin as he's getting picked up by Mark Fields Sr. to come to the Gauchos gym?
What would I tell him? To be completely honest with you, I would tell him 2 things. And the first thing is to just trust the process. And that's something that took me a while to learn, to just trust the process. Everything happens for a reason. But yeah, it happens for a reason. But it's how you use those circumstances to better yourself. Everyone had trials and tribulations. And most importantly, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Run your race. Run your race, man. Just continue to stay your course and be a good person. Most importantly, be a good person.
Final question. What's next in the future for Tevin Baskin?
What's next? I got a couple of things in the works, man. I don't want to speak on the two. I don't want to speak on the too quickly right now, man. But for me, it's always been a dream to work around good people and work at the highest level. I had an NBA interview back in September. I didn't get that job, but I missed it by a vote. I was very close, which was encouraging for me. But I got some things in the works. My next situation, I can guarantee because I kind of have, I have an idea now of who I want to work for and what I want to do and the type of people you want to be around. So, just to continue to climb the ladder, but to do it at a pace that, that presents opportunity, but you also want to be effective. So, I'm looking forward to my next opportunity, man. I'm hoping it's coming real soon.
Well, Tevin, thank you for coming on and sharing your journey with me. I really appreciate you coming on, and I wish you nothing but the best moving forward.
I appreciate you, man. And before we get off here, man, I want to tell you I'm proud of you. I'm going to tell you a quick story about you real quick. Ready? So I'm a freshman at Quinnipiac. And they held that high school tournament on campus at Quinnipiac. And you were there. And you were there covering, you don't remember this, you were there covering this. And I remember saying to you, Dave, what you doing? You're like, man, I'm here. I'm trying to get acclimated. I'm trying to find the best players. I'm trying to build my brand. And I remember you.
Matter of fact, I think I remember this situation. This had to be at Albertus Magnus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember seeing you, and I'm like, man, and it was between Albertus. They used Quinnipiac, and then they used another facility. And for me, it's good to see people like you, man. You put the time in, you put the effort in, and you've always stayed the course. Like I remember you telling me when I was at Gauchos, man, I'm not a hooper, man, but I'm gonna know everybody. I'm gonna know all the players. I'm gonna know how to get this thing going. And now your page is crazy. I just sent Chris Fouch that clip of him that you posted about last week. Him, he was the headliner in an article, man. So now I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. Again, if I could help, you ever in Connecticut, even if I'm not Connecticut and you need something, call me, man. I'll make it happen by any means necessary, man.
Indeed. We'll definitely keep in touch.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Well, this is episode 30. Shout outs to everybody that's shown support. Definitely check this episode out on YouTube, Facebook, and at IGTV. If you're from Stamford, Connecticut, or from the Gauchos, or anybody in New York City that knows Tevin, definitely check out this episode.
Yeah,
man. But everybody stay safe, be blessed. Peace.